On this episode of Local to Global here on Total Extreme Wrestling 9, we're going to slash our ticket prices and make our next 4 shows for free. And hopefully that'll give us a nice popularity boost and help us increase our size. Back in our Local to Global save, back in 1992, this is Spike Piledriver Wrestling. My name is Anders. Welcome to the channel. Please make sure you like and subscribe to the video. Get settled down for this episode. I think it's episode number 5 of the series. And as mentioned, here we go then. If we go to ticket prices, we were at cheap, which meant, if we just quickly look here, we were charging $5 for our events. And that was giving us a slow build-up of popularity. So if we go down to free, it says here at the end that using this pricing boosts your potential popularity gain. So we're going to save there and see if that makes an impact. So we're currently at 2 in the southeast. After the 4 shows in this episode, I want us to be at 5, hopefully. So, and if that happens, we'll start increasing, if you look at finance here, we're going to start increasing our sponsorship per month and everything like that, and hopefully that will then cover any losses from ticket sales. I mean, we're not making too much of a loss each month. We're sort of losing around $500-600 per show per month. So if we're doing 2 shows, it's $1,200. 1 show, it's about $600. So that is the situation when obviously this is the last day of July that we're about to do our next show. So if it's free, hopefully that will only add an extra $300 to the loss each show, which isn't too bad. Still below $1,000, and we'll see how we get on and see if that gives us a nice little boost for the size. So tonight we've got Doomsday, which is up next. And I believe, hopefully, if I've remembered what we've got booked on the card, we've got Jeff Jarrett defending the heavyweight title against Bob Holly, who defeated Dean Malenko in the last show. We won't give anyone the night off. We will make it a generic venue once again in the southeast. No incidents pre-show to mention. Booking team-wise, we've got 60 as our creative energy, and we will spend that creative energy on a creative finish because we like them and it's likely to succeed. So we'll save that one down and stick that one on our main event match and give it a nice little boost. Locker room incidents. Al Snow does a bit of training. Don Harris has got a creative idea for himself for a creative finish, so we'll keep that one stored. Hopefully it's got a nice little timeline on it because we've got something planned for the Harris brothers, but it's not immediate just yet. We'll see if we do anything there, and we'll just move through. We won't address the locker room. So this is the card for tonight. Dean Malenko... Oh, no, sorry. I've got a little bit ahead of myself. Jeff Jarrett is not facing Bob Holly because Dean Malenko is facing Bob Holly. We haven't booked that show yet. This is the show I was talking about on the last show. It's not. Scratch all of that. Bob Holly is facing Dean Malenko with a shot at Jeff Jarrett on the line. Might be giving you a spoiler as to what happens with my little intro to the show. The Ebony Experience are defending the tag titles, however, against the Batten Twins, and then Jarrett's got an open challenge, which we will see being filled. So we go through now and remember what we've actually booked. So we want Jeff Jarrett in the... In fact, no, we want Dean Malenko and Bob Holly in the main event. That's what I think. We'll drop that one in there and give it a creative finish as well. Here we go, creative finish likely to succeed. We'll drop that one on there. How long of a time? Oh, we've got until August. That's not very long to use for Don Harris's creative finish. We might not end up using it. But Dean Malenko and Bob Holly can go in there. Then we'll do the Jeff Jarrett King Cobra match, which answers the open challenge, which we'll drop in here as well. We'll also have our tag title defense there, and Nelson Knight Mabel is getting in the opener against Dennis Allen. Right, we'll see how much of an increase this has on our attendance and whether that helps boost the popularity. So we're usually seeing around, I think it was 67 in attendance for our last set of shows. Hopefully there's nice increase because it's for free. Okay, it's gone up to 90. That's not too bad. That's not too bad. Hopefully we'll see a nice boost in popularity off the back of it. Right, opening contest is obviously going to be a little bit of a dud because it's got Mabel in it. But he puts in quite a decent performance, actually 29. That's not too bad. Gets a segment rating of 31 overall, and obviously Mabel wins by sitting on Dennis Allen. We're going to try and build the Harlem Knights up for a final title shot before we get rid of them because they're a bit useless. But never mind. Mabel wins this one. And then speaking of the tag champs, the Ebony Experience defend against the Batten Twins in a pretty decent match, actually. Bob Batten dragging the performance down a little bit, but overall a 42 rating for a tag title defense is not too bad. The Ebony Experience are coming into their own now as tag team champions. They're both putting in some good solid performances, both in the 40s for their in-ring performance. Got excellent chemistry together as well, which is really good, and it's got the crowd hotter. Obviously, they make their third defense of the tag titles. It's kind of a bit of a foregone conclusion. And speaking of, we know what's going to happen in the next two matches because I've spoiled them for you already. But Jeff Jarrett has an open challenge because he's beaten everyone. It's answered by King Cobra, who steps up for a title match right now. Jarrett worked the crowd well. Cobra struggled going off script, and we've lost heat in this segment from the storyline, but never mind. 42 rating there, and a 53 for the match, as Jarrett defends in 18 minutes with his trusty pile driver. He put in a 59 rating for his in-ring performance, which is very much up there in Dean Malenko territory. I think it's higher than his average has been so far this year. King Cobra drops a 33, which is not too bad. Could be a little bit better, maybe a little bit lower than expected from him. But Jarrett gets in another successful defense. He's working his way through all the challengers in the company. But another challenger is going to step up after our next match, because that main event is Bob Holly defeating Dean Malenko. Bob's in-ring performance was a little bit low, 38. I think I was expecting him to be in the 40s. I think he was in the 40s on his debut match. But he did well to defeat Dean Malenko in the main event with an Alabama Slam, and that gets him a title shot against Jarrett in a few weeks' time at Inferno, I think, is the next show. I'll have to double check. But it's a 62 rating for the match overall, which is very much up there with our best, continuing Dean Malenko's best bout machine moniker. A 59 rating overall for the show, though. It was a good decision to put that match on last. And it's increased our popularity in one region, and we'll see how much in a second. We're going to once again single out Dean Malenko for being awesome. And who do we want to show on the next one? Maybe we'll give Booker T some praise as well, complimenting on a good performance, just because we like to spread it out a little bit. Finances, obviously we've not brought in any ticket sales, so we've lost more on this show than we would usually. But we've spent a little bit less on workers than we have done in the last few shows, which is fine, to kind of mitigate that a little bit, but kind of a biohazard of not using some of our more expensive workers, like Lieutenant James Earl Wright, who's useless but costs a lot of money, and his contract will be up very soon. Popularity-wise, it hasn't boosted us up to a 3, which is a shame, but we'll get there. Even with free shows, we're not. I hope I actually set it to 3 and didn't. Well, no, we didn't get any ticket sales in, so yes, we did set it to 3. Right, we'll see if we are any closer after the next show to get up to maybe 5 was too much of a target to get through. Maybe we'll have to keep free shows for the foreseeable. But that rounds out July. We'll do the end of the month finance update now, because we are at the end of the month. We're dropping into August once the processing is finished. And we'll see what the situation is finance-wise. Obviously, we've lost a little bit more money than we usually do on a 2-show month, probably about $200-300 more than usual. Sponsorship's gone up again, merchandise has gone up again, and hopefully we'll continue ticking through with the free shows, get that sponsorship income up. It's now over $300 a month, which is really good. This is going to start to get to the point where we can start covering our worker costs a little bit more. Just to make sure we did, definitely, yes, we are free. So next up, we've got Inferno, followed by Hostile Territory, and then Endgame is the end of the episode as we get into October. Then we'll have the final 4 shows in the next episode as well before we get to the end of the year. Now, one thing I did want to do is have a quick look through the roster and mention a few things. So Todd Morton, we have signed. I'm not sure if I mentioned this in the last episode, but we've put him onto an ongoing contract after his good performances last time around. And I think I did mention that James Earl Wright, he's expiring in September. We've got a few expiring in September, actually, if we go through. So Batten is only going to be there for 3 months, the Batten twins. Bob Holly's been signed on an ongoing contract. I'm not sure if I mentioned that. The Harlem Knights are also going in September. Anyone else that we switched over to a shorter term? I think that was it. I think it was Rick Thames, and he's gone already. So James Earl Wright, the Battens, and the Harlem Knights. Yeah, that's it. So we're going to have a little bit of a culling of the roster halfway through this episode, actually, in between them. So after the next show, but well, actually, no, after the next 2 shows before the final show of the episode. And we might go through and sign a few more people to fill out those gaps, essentially, in the roster. But now we'll go forward and get ready for Inferno, which is in 3 weeks' time. And we'll see what we've got in store. I think Jeff Jarrett will be defending his title against Bob Holly. But what else have we got on the plate? Well, you'll find out in a second. Straight back into Inferno then, and this is the show where Bob Holly gets the title shot that we mentioned earlier. Obviously, he won the match that you just saw against Dean Malenko in the main event of Doomsday, but we're here to go for Inferno, and hopefully this one bumps us up to 3 because we need some extra popularity. Once again, generic venue, no nights off, no pre-show incidents, booking team meeting. We're on 40, so we will leave for now. Any locker room incidents? Brad Batten has bonded recently with Brett Colt. That's Bart Gunn. Unfortunately for Mr. Batten, he's leaving in about 2-3 weeks. Al Snow doing some more training, and the Knights are finally learning something, but that's no use to them. They're going in September as well. And we'll just do a bit of team bonding at the... Oh, that's... Serving tensions. Serving tensions between everyone. Wonderful. Excellent. Strengthen the relationship between the Batten twins and between the Ebony Experience. So that's great. Right, into tonight's show. We've got some absent workers. Jerry Lynn and the Lightning Kid are not here tonight. They're wrestling for Universal Lucha Libre, which at some point in the future will be an issue for us, but currently they're not booked to go through tonight's card. They are on the next show, though, so hopefully we'll just do a double check that that's not an issue. Right, let's go through and do our main event. This one is the angle after the match. Then here is our main event. We'll get through that one. Dean Malenko, obviously wrestling because it's Dean Malenko. You may have seen a little snippet there of who the next challenger will be for Jeff Jarrett's title, but I don't want to spoil things for you too much. No announcers is the only issue on the booking sheet. We do probably need to have a proper look at who's not been booked for a couple of months now and get them on the card again and do a little bit of a cycle through what's been happening for the slightly less frequently used members of the roster. Right, let's start the show and go through 96. Look at that, 6 more people in attendance than last week. Or 3 weeks ago, whenever it was. Match of the first match of the night, rather. The Harlem Knights get a victory over Mike Jackson, who has slipped down in my estimations after his poor performance in the title match. So he's now jobbing with Dennis Allen to Men on a Mission. So there you go, the mighty have fallen. They put in 25 and 26. It's not very good, is it? But it does get us off to a strong start with a 35 rating for the first contest. Then we go straight into a next one as James O'Wright sustained a fractured cheekbone in this one. Crash gave him a smack, I'm guessing. We'll see how that actually played out. But Crash the Terminator wins this one. He gets a 36, which is serviceable enough, and he'll be going through to challenge Jarrett soon, which kind of spoils the main event. But you see what's happening here. Jarrett's winning the title matches and building his reign up nicely. But Crash takes a nice solid victory there. 29. It's not great, but with an injury, what can you expect? We'll see after the show how that works. Locker room's a little bit unhappy with Crash the Terminator because it was his mistake that got the lieutenant injured. Dean Malenko does what Dean Malenko always does and puts in probably the best match of the night. A 56 for his submission victory over Todd Morton, who we mentioned is now a full-time member of the roster. A 61 for Malenko, as you would generally come to expect. Todd Morton with a 39 is good enough to keep the overall rating nice and high. We're keeping Malenko on the back burner. He's putting in best bouts, best matches of the night every time he's on the show, and we'll do something more with him going forward. We might do, after the show actually, we might do a bit of a recap of sort of the characters we've got on the roster, just to give you a refresh. In fact, we might wait until after the next show when we've got rid of a few of the lesser used guys. Main event sees Jeff Jarrett retain his title for the 6th time. Submission victory over Bob Holly. This time Holly does get into the 40s, which is good, which is where we expect him to be. He's the cover star of this episode. Cover star being on the thumbnail, by the way, just because he's in the main event of 2 shows. Jeff Jarrett with a 55, Bob Holly with a 43. Overall, the segment gets a 54 rating, which is not a bad way to close the show. Close the show in terms of matches. Jeff Jarrett then does his usual over-the-top celebration, and then Crash the Terminator comes out fresh from his browbeating backstage after injuring the Lieutenant. He gets in his face and wants revenge for losing the very first title match back at Ascension. So if you remember back on episode number 2 when we crowned our first champion, it was Crash the Terminator that Jeff Jarrett defeated to become our inaugural champion. That gets a 50 rating. The storyline advances, but it's lost a little bit of heat. Everyone improvised well throughout, but it was a good way to finish the show. A 52 rating once again overall, staying in the 50s. Hopefully this gets us up to 3 though. We won't bother addressing the locker room. Injury review, he's fractured his cheekbone. He's out for 22 days, can still be worked through, but his contract expires just before he will be back anyway. So that might be the last time we see Lieutenant James. Alright, finance-wise, 390 on workers again, that's not too bad. Overall loss of 728, but then it's because we're not getting any ticket sales through the door. Popularity recap, we are up to 3 in the southeast. Fantastic. I don't think we're quite at the level of having any spillover yet, but maybe we will get a tiny bit of spillover there, because I think it's 40%, which should potentially, depending on where it is on the 3, get us a little bit. We can check that on the next screen, because that doesn't come through on the show recap screen. Spillover doesn't. It's just anything impacted directly. It's during this phase of processing where the spillover is calculated and pushed out to the other regions. We will see whether that has happened here. So yeah, there's confirmation of the injuries. Also top headline news on the Total Extreme Wrestling magazine. Right, he's got big morale issues. Wonderful. Everyone's angry with him. Being blamed for an injury is very angry. Quite a few people being annoyed at... Never mind. Morale officer and head of talent relations. Annoyed at So he's irritated at disliking the choice of head of talent relations and annoyed. I don't get that. Never mind. We haven't changed the head of talent relations, I don't think. Anyway. So what was I going to check? I was going to check something. I can't remember what. Never mind. Let's quick flick through here. Doomsday. So last show was still our best match, including on there was Bob Holly against Dean Malenko. We were going to do a roster recap, weren't we? That was what we were going to do. Right. So we'll just go through the active wrestlers. There we go. And we'll just skip over the ones that are leaving. So Al Snow is just sort of a lower card heel. He's a little bit crazy. He's just kind of a bit of a workhorse, though. He's not really got much of a character of note. We'll skip the Battens because they're leaving. Bob Holly is, well, his gimmick is Alabama Slammer, but I'm kind of seeing him more as like a bit of a flamboyant, not quite race car driver, not quite wearing the pink and black Hollywood-style Bob Holly from Smoky Mountain. He's just kind of a bit of a early 90s, not Southern stereotype kind of guy. Not much to see here. Booker T is a sucker. He's just doing the typical early Harlem Heat ass kicker kind of gimmick. Bret Colt's a cowboy, would you believe? He's a badass cowboy, wears a hat. Crash the Terminator is crazy and a Terminator ripoff. He's a face. He's obviously a little bit higher up the card sometimes than others. He's going to be in the next match, next main event. Dean Malenko is your workhorse of the company, the heel, the Iceman. He's very much there to give you the best match of the night. Dennis Allen's a jobber. Don Harris is biker because it's a Harris brother. What do you expect? Jeff Jarrett is the flamboyant, fabulous heel that you'd expect of the 80s and early 90s in the Mid-South sort of regions. He's Jeff Jarrett turned up to 12. Jerry Lynn, show stealer, face, just kind of puts on good performance. He's the face version of Dean Malenko. King Cobra is just the old school face, old veteran. There's not really much to him than that. Billy Gunn, Kip Montana, the arrogant cowboy version of Bret Colt. Probably ought to feud those pair at some point in the future. James O'Reilly's going. He's a law enforcer. Mike Jackson is a bit of a useless local hero. He's not as good in the ring as we thought. Ron Harris, the equivalent of Don Harris. Stevie Ray, the equivalent of Booker T. Lightning Kid is very much the underdog face, the plucky young little guy always working from underneath. And Todd Morton is kind of a slightly younger, less veteran version of King Cobra, essentially. And that's the roster. I can't remember whether that was what I was going to show you after that show, but there we go. That is what I've shown you. Side, no, it was spillover. That's what I was going to show you. It's literally the thought pops in here, and then within 5 seconds, it's gone again. Yes, we have got a bit of spillover. Mid-Atlantic and Mid-South are now up to 1, and the Southeast is on 3. Hopefully, as I said, by the end of the episode, we'll get to close to 5, probably 4 at this point. but we shall see. Right, we've got another show coming up in 2 weeks. Hostile Territory, is in the beginning of September. I do need to check whether there are any availability issues here for the beginning of September. Yes, Jerry Lynn and Lightning Kid and Crash the Terminator, who is in the main event, will not be available. So we'll skip it forward to the Thursday. We'll just do a Thursday night event. If we bring that forward, shift by... there we go, just make it the Thursday. Job done. Save. Thursday. Next time around, it'll still be on a Friday, so we can keep that schedule going. It's just 12 days now. Right, we'll do that. We'll skip forward to that show, and everyone will be around, and we won't be missing any of our booked matches by having people working elsewhere. Okay, back for our next show, but a piece of interesting news. Well, I say interesting news. Bad news, really, for Ricky Steamboat has dropped the day of our show. So it's been announced that Ricky Steamboat is injured. He's torn his quad. He'll be out for about a year. That's the disappointing thing. But the other interesting thing to note is he's literally about to close out with WCW and join the WWF full time. And it's literally happened. So he's going to be out for a year. The first year of his contract will be gone. Looking at his match history, though, his match that it happened in was against Jim Boss, who is a WCW jobber. And you can see here when he signed with the WWF. So he's only on a handshake with WCW. So he's winning matches. And then it's announced that he's leaving. He loses to Jim Boss. Then he's in a tag match with The Undertaker against Ric Flair and Shawn Michaels on Superstars. Loses to Jim Boss on Saturday night. Then he's back on Superstars again, winning. Then he loses to Eric Watts. Then he wins a tag match there. Then he loses to Jim Boss again, and he's out injured for a whole year. That is an unfortunate situation for him to find himself in. That's just a bit of an aside. Right, actual parts of this episode that we want to cover. Right, the finances for August will be in now as we're at the beginning of September. And we lost $606, which actually is the same ballpark as we lost in June. And this is without the 355 or 360 odd dollars that we would have made through ticket sales. So the increased sponsorship has come in and instantly helped. Sponsorship will be up to $437 per month now, which will go higher again after this show. So it's a good, if you're doing a local to global, turn your ticket sales off. Make your shows free for the first bit. It helps. It really does. That's my advice. Right, we've got Hostile Territory up next. And from my thinking on the pre-booking, I've not done an angle yet, but we'll do that live on the show. We'll go through now. We've moved it forward a day, so Crash the Terminator and Jerry Lynn and Lightning Kid can all be involved. We're not going to give anyone the night off, and we will, in fact, remain at a generic venue in the southeast. See if we can get above 100 fans in attendance. Booking team meeting. We're up to 70 again now, so we have got a Bart Batten storyline idea. I don't remember him bringing that to us, but I think we'll be ignoring that one. No, we do have that one. That one's from a while ago, actually. We'll see if we can add that to the tag team title storyline before he leaves. I think he leaves like in 2 days. Spend the creative energy on a creative finish. Yeah, it's a bit of a gamble, but we'll take it. Why not? And let's go through to any locker room incidents. No pre-show incidents, by the way. Al Snow doing his usual training, helping out the Lightning Kid this time as well. Locker room, we'll just do some team bonding. Very quiet backstage. We've strengthened a few relationships between all our tag teams and then created tensions between everyone else. Excellent team bonding session, guys. This is why I stopped doing it. These are the matches on the card tonight. 2 title matches, a Dean Malenko match, and Jerry Lynn and the Lightning Kid are also involved. So it should be some really good ratings for this show. We'll drop in the pre-booking bits now. Jeff Jarrett will be in the main event. Excellent, yes. Then we'll obviously go through our Dean Malenko match because that will be the best match on the card. We'll have Lynn and Lightning Kid involved there, and we'll obviously include our tag team title contest here. And then we'll close that. If we go, we've lost the creative idea for the Harris twins, haven't we, actually? So we'll go in here and tag titles and deploy this creative idea here because we can do. Yes, it will tick forward. Even though he's going to be out of the company soon, we'll just add the idea on and we'll go through it from there. Right, let's think about what angle we want. Maybe we'll just do a generic Sort of. In fact, have we already got any pre-booking for next show? I don't think we have for Endgame. I'm not quite sure who we're going to have as our next challenger for Jarrett. Let's have a quick look through the roster whilst we're here. We might do... In fact, we won't bring out a challenger this time around, in fact, unless it's someone we've already got on the card. Maybe we'll get Jerry. Jerry Lynn's had a title match already against Jarrett, hasn't he? God, there's a lot of matches there. Let's just bring in just these matches. Right, so he's faced Jarrett already, and it was a 53. That was back in April. Maybe we'll do so. Let's have a think. Maybe not. Let's just do the angle at the end of the show, being Jarrett and Malenko celebrating. Jarrett and Malenko celebrate. Is there any hope left for SPW with these two running rampant? Maybe. I forgot that celebrating ring. There we go. And then we can reignite the Dynamic Storm. Dynamic Storm, rush down to the ring, and we get an intense stare down. There we go, to close the show. Excellent. Right, we'll do that. Show closer as the angle name. Probably ought to have a better name than that. Jarrett, Malenko, Lynn, Kid, stare down. There we go. That's more appropriate for future reference if I look through the results. Right, save that there. Yes. Right, who do we want involved? Dean Malenko, working the crowd. Yes. Jeff Jarrett. Yes. Jerry Lynn. Yes. Lightning Kid. Yes. Everyone just work the crowd, get involved. Improvised. Yes. Wonderful. That can go here. And that is the card. Let's go through and see what happens. Booking analysis. Yes, all fine. Right, let's start the show. So, the Ebony Experience to make their 4th defense of the tag titles. They're defending against the Harlem Knights. And they'll... Oh, brilliant. A couple of things have happened in this match. So, one I was going to mention is the Harlem Knights will be gone at the end of this show. So, this is their farewell. The storyline idea that we've deployed was a failure. So, thank you for that, Bart Batten. And Booker T has also sustained a broken jaw. So that's the 2nd injury in as many shows. Wonderful. Our tag champs are potentially injured a little bit. Hopefully not too seriously. It's a 32 rating for the opener. Nobody's happy with Mabel for breaking Booker T's jaw, but he's gone, so it doesn't matter. Speaking of the Batten twins, they're gone as well. Lightning Kid and Jerry Lynn getting a victory over those guys. They've not been involved in the last few shows, but they put in some really strong performances. 51 for Kid, 57 for Jerry Lynn. Bart Batten was off his game, but he's also getting better at his gimmick. But it doesn't matter, they're going. A 50 rating is a good match, though. The Dynamic Storm of Lynn and Kid putting in a really good shift to get this one at a better rating. And then, obviously, what happens in our next match is Dean Malenko steals the show once again. He gets his victory back over Bob Holly, though, which is key for him in this one. A 62 rating for the match. Took him 14 minutes nearly. But the Texas Cloverleaf does the business once again. Bob Holly's stint as a main eventer is gone because Dean Malenko's beat him again. So he's lost to Jarrett and Malenko. And now he'll slip down into that mid-card and provide some solid contests when he is called upon. By the way, 98 fans in attendance and not quite over 100, which is what I was hoping for. And then a slightly disappointing main event as Crash the Terminator doesn't quite bring the business as he has done before. Possibly his morale, if we look at the dirt sheet, after being blamed. So he got a bonus there, got penalised for inconsistency, penalised for low morale. So he's not happy that everyone's unhappy with him after his injury to James Earl Wright last time around. But Jarrett does the job anyway. 21 minutes, pile driver, defence number 7 of the heavyweight title. He is ticking on as our champion, our first, last and only champion. He's not going to be our last. First and only champion so far. On the save. 49 rating is still not a bad match, though. And then in the ring afterwards, Malenko struggled when going off script as they were working the crowd. But as we mentioned, Jarrett and Malenko celebrating the ring. No hope left for the company until Jerry Lynn and Lightning Kid come down and we get an intense war of words and a stare down, a 46 rating for the segment. gets us to the finish line. A 49 overall. If we'd put Dean Malenko on last, maybe Dean Malenko should have been our champion. He gets the best matches out of everyone. But character-wise, Jarrett is still our top dog. That's a close to the show, a 49. Locker room, we will... what should we do? Dean Malenko again. Just... Yes, you are... Can we do anything other than tell him he's great? No, tell him he's great. We'll give Crash some encouragement as well. Try and see if we can boost his morale. Seem pleased. Right, injury review. Booker T's out for 4 weeks. We'll probably keep him off the next show if he's not already on it. Just to keep that chance for that jaw to heal properly. Finance-wise, we've lost 800 on the show. More workers were spent because we had 2 tag team matches. But that's to be expected. No ticket sales once again because we're staying free until the end of the year, I think. Maybe when we get to the last show of the year, we'll put ticket prices back on. We're up to 4, though, which is good. Hopefully that means next show we will get to 5 for our target for the end of the episode. I'll have a quick look at the spillover as well. I'll actually remember that we're looking at the spillover this time. And I nearly knocked my microphone flying as well, which is a great way to show I'm a professional. Right. Pete Roberts is resigning. Good for him. Booking position available at Premier. Don't care about that. Booker T is injured for the next few weeks. We knew that. Right. Size-wise, do we get a little bit of spillover anywhere else? No, not yet. It's 10%, if I remember, not 10%, 20% in the Great Lakes and Midwest. So when we're up to 5, they will go to 1. And then Mid-Atlantic and Mid-South will go to 2. So we're keeping a nice little bit of spillover going. Now we're going a little bit of progress being made on the popularity side of things. Still a long way to go until we get to 17. But that's where we're at. Endgame is in 4 weeks' time at the beginning of October. And then for the next episode, we'll be going through Collision Course, King of Combat, Clash of the Titans, and then Uprising as we get to the end of the year. But one more show to go in this one. We'll get to Endgame in a second. We'll sim through the month. Check out the finances, see how we're doing in terms of a single show month, whether we can get that little bit further, that performance down a little bit closer to where it was last month, and see if the sponsorship comes in a higher. It's now at 489. We're getting to a good point now on that one. Hopefully we'll be able to we'll turn ticket sales back on next episode anyway. Right, let's go through, and I'll be back for Endgame in a second to close out this episode. Alright then, before we get to our final show of the episode, we're going to do the finances, and then we've got a few notes to mention as well on our email. So, finances for the month of September, and it's already paying off by going for free shows to increase our popularity and therefore our sponsorships. So we're only losing 557, which is the best month we have had, just slightly better than June, which obviously had $350 coming in from ticket sales. So obviously that boost from having more popularity is helping on the sponsorship side, which is now up to $500. And obviously we've got 2 shows this month, so hopefully it will get even higher for the next month. And maybe by the end of the year we'll start turning a slight profit each month. But that is potentially something we will need to cover then, or be surprised about then at least. Right, we've got 1 show to go in the episode. It's the 4th of October. We've had to shift it by a couple of days because we had a few people not able to make the Friday show who were booked, so we've done so. News-wise, all of these people are gone, so Mabel's gone, Brad and Bart Batten the other night, Bobby Knight, Mo, and Lieutenant Wright have all gone. Yokozuna's also left AJPW again. Mabel has been instantly hired for a tour with Wing. Kit Montana's back to being fully fit, as is Booker T. So, we are ready to go for Endgame, and it is not... Well, it's the end game of this episode. It's not the end game of the series, that's for sure. But we've got some matches booked, which will obviously be building from the previous show. Obviously, in that one, we'll see how they factor in here. Right. Obviously, the same again as usual. We'll go for the generic venue. Hopefully, we'll get above 100 people attending. 102 is our expected attendance this time. So hopefully that happens. No pre-show incidents. Booking team... We have got enough for a creative finish, which we will drop in here as well. It's a bit of a gamble, but we will use it all the same. Locker room incidents. Don Harris is being obnoxious and beat up the Lightning Kid. Dave Hebner gave him a stern warning. He's very happy with the decision. Lightning Kid is far from happy, which is annoying But that's what you get by having a head of talent relations. I would have just kicked him in the arse. But never mind. Mike Jackson's got into argue. Oh, our morale is ticking down, isn't it? Mike Jackson got into an argument with King Cobra, annoyed at his attempts at team building. Yep, I am too. Don Harris then had a small backstage clash with King Cobra as well. The Harrises not having a good night. King Cobra tried to bring Lightning Kid in and only succeeded in ignoring him as well. He's brilliant. Al Snow doing some good work with Bret Cole and Lightning Kid, and that is a disastrous locker room. Right, we'll medal. I mean, there's no bad relationship between the Lightning Kid and the Harris. Never mind. Right, we'll not do anything. Move on. Right, we're not going to do a team bonding because that just serves to annoy people. Right, we've got some matches on the card. I'm not going to go through them without showing you them in a second. Right, pre-booking. The Dean Malenko match is going to be our main event. Then we will have the Jeff Jarrett match here. The Jeff Jarrett angle there. The tag match there. And then that one there. Although I think, looking at how we've done things, maybe we'll drop that here and that one there. Maybe we'll do it that way around. There we go. Because then the angle makes more sense. Booking analysis-wise, just the commentary team not being there because we don't need it. We've only got a smaller roster now, so there's only a few people who aren't being booked tonight, so we're kind of using everyone. We're going to have to bring some people in, which we probably will do between this and the next episode because we've got some plans further out that we'll need a few more people on the roster for. Right, we're going to kick things off. 106 people in attendance, the best yet, as the Harris brothers kick the show off with a tag team victory, pinning Don Harris pinning King Cobra after a H-bar. Mike Jackson and King Cobra, our veterans, are now serving as job guys. The Harris brothers getting a great, strong performance in, and they will be facing the tag team champions in our next show, which you will see on the next episode, so make sure you keep lookout for that. 42 rating for this one. The Harris brothers, Ron Harris in particular, putting in a really strong performance. Got the crowd off to a hot start, show going well, and then we get a lovely, lovely angle with Jeff Jarrett improvising well to get a 63 rating. He doesn't start the show because the tag match has happened. I forgot to put that. But he announces that he won't be facing either Jerry Lynn or Lightning Kid tonight because they haven't earned a title shot. He will defend against Bret Colt because he ran him close in the tournament semi-final 8 months ago. That's some very loose reasoning there from Jeff Jarrett, but he's a heel, so what do you expect? It also means that the Dynamic Storm have got a tag team match later on tonight, but Jarrett makes defense number 8 of the heavyweight title in 16 minutes as he beats Bret Colt with a figure 4 leg lock. 54 for the rating. Jarrett drops a 60 on us, which is great, and a 38 for Colt. Kind of drags it down a little bit, but it's still a really good, strong match, and we've got Dean Malenko to come in the main event, so that should be even better. Next up, though, Dynamic Storm take on Al Snow and Kit Montana in a tag match. Lightning Kid pins Kit with a super kick, and Jerry Lynn puts in a great performance with a 59. Lightning Kid slumping down a little bit at 43. Snow, in fact, Snow's a little bit low. Snow's normally teetering on 40, but that's down at 34. And Kit Montana gets a 32 as well. But that's Billy Gunn. He doesn't put in the amazing in-ring performances. He's just a steady hand. But 50 for the match itself is not bad, and it drops us nicely into another 62 for Dean Malenko. As I said on the last episode and in this one, he is the best bout machine. He's dropping in great result after great result. A 70 in-ring performance. 70 is definitely the highest in-ring performance we've seen so far in this save, 10 months in. But that is incredible. It drags Crash the Terminator's 37 up and gets a 62 segment rating for the match to close the show and gives us a 61 overall rating. If that hasn't put us onto 5, I don't know what will. But we will see. Again, Dean Malenko, you're awesome. Simple as that. Lightning Kid will also give some a hug because of what's happened backstage. Very happy. Kids pleased as well. Right, finances wise, lost money. That's to be expected. We had a couple of tag matches as well, so our worker costs were high. Popularity wise, we are up to 5 for the end of the episode. Going to free shows is the way to grow early doors in a local to global. I wish I'd done this at the beginning, and maybe we'd be up near 10 now, as we are 10 months in. But never mind, that's hindsight. If I was to do it again, I probably would do the same thing because I'd have forgot what happens, because that's generally what I do. If we look at size, though, we've got... well, no, the spillover hasn't quite happened everywhere else yet. But 5 in the southeast is definitely a good start. Next time up, we've got Collision Course, followed by King of Combat, which will be a special show different to all the rest. Clash of the Titans then will end the year with Uprising, and that will end episode number 6, I believe it is. Champions-wise, still the same as they were before. Jeff Jarrett now 234 days into his reign as heavyweight champion, and the Ebony Experience are nearing on 200 days in their stint as tag team champions. We're going to have a tag team title match at the next show on Collision Course. Jarrett will probably also defend his title, but we will see what happens there. Finances, we've dropped a load of money on the show, but that will be clawed back with the sponsorship, which is nearing 600 now as we go through. The next show is in 18 days, so that is also in October, so it's a double show month again. And then as we get into November and December, by the time we get to the end of the year, I'm fingers crossed that we'll be close to making a profit for a single show month. But that will happen in the new year, I'm sure. 1993 is the year of money. Right, let's end the episode there. We're probably going to have a look at some new wrestlers to try and sign in the interim, but make sure you are subscribed so you will see all future episodes of Local to Glory dropping. Once again, this has been Spike Power Driver Wrestling. My name's Anders. I hope you've enjoyed it. I'll see you on the next video. Thanks for watching.